Well, Trudeau's at the bargaining stage of his grief of knowing that he's about to lose the next election. And so now he's pleading with Canadians, please don't do it.
I hope some of the things I said actually, pierce through the haze of challenging situations everyone's in. Canadians are fundamentally thoughtful about the kind of future we want, the kind of solutions we're going to put forward to improve our communities, to improve our neighborhoods, to build a better set of opportunities for our kids. And every election is about that as we approach what will be an election year next year. And my only request for everyone is to be really thoughtful and go into the choices you make with eyes wide open. I think there's a number of folks in different countries, and I won't point out any particular one, where folks are going to be wondering about the choice they may be made in elections. Let's not be that kind of country in Canada. Let's be deliberate about the choices we make. If we want to stop fighting climate change, if we want to re-legalize assault-style weapons, if we want to put back into question women's rights, if we want to scrap $10 a day childcare across the country and stop delivering free dental care to vulnerable seniors, then in a democracy, that's a choice people can make. Get rid of the CBC, too. That's a choice people can make. But let's take on the responsibility as electors, as thoughtful agents of change in our communities, to be smart about, no matter how much we want change, let's not fall into an easy trap of voting for change for the worse. Canadians deserve better, and I know they're going to pick it. Merci tout le monde.
Oh man, that was comical, wasn't it, to watch? I really do believe he's going through the grief stages at this point, because we've seen it at various points over the past several years. He was in denial that people didn't like him, that, I'm a great prime minister. Everyone wants me. Then he got into anger. Remember when he got up on stage in Toronto about Ukraine and that whole famous photo of him doing that, getting mad at people hopping on trains, planes, or automobiles who are unvaccinated. You don't deserve the right to do that. And so many times where he's been exuding his anger at people not liking him. Now he's at the stage of think about your options. Think about what's happening out there. Look what's happening across the globe. I'm not going to point any fingers, but they're going to be questioning their decision soon. That's where he's at right now. And the thing I love most about it is how he ended that conversation, how he ended that speech with, please don't select change for the sake of change, because it could be change for the worse, which could totally be personified in how he was elected. People wanted change for the sake of wanting change in 2015. They wanted the weed. And then they chose Trudeau over Harper. And don't get me wrong. At that point in 2015, I was craving change too. I thought Harper was about done. But even I was like, yeah, I'm not selecting Trudeau over Harper though. But the rest of Canada fell for it. And now here we are 9 years later in an insufferable minority government. And he's out here begging at the Halifax Chamber of Commerce here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Please don't vote for the other guy. You want to put women's rights as a question again? It never was, never has over the past 20 years. Like, what are we talking about here? Again, he's preying upon those who are uninformed, uninitiated, and do not care about politics. People who don't watch this show, don't watch shows like this, are the ones that he's going after with that type of messaging. Those who are watching this are just like, liar. We all know what you're talking about here. You want to put assault-style weapons back on the streets? Again, not a huge gun advocate. Don't really care. However, I can definitely advocate for the right for my fellow Canadians to own a gun. And quite frankly, the weapons keeps taking off the road or keeping off the streets are like, what, 5 rounds a magazine, something like that? Like, they're not even like fully automatic. They're barely even semi-automatic. 5 stages of grief, I tell you. That's where he's at. Voting for change for the sake of change, he says, has put us at the bottom of the G7 in GDP per capita. GDP per person, we are the lowest. Voting for the sake of change, for change's sake, got us here. Thank you for the reminder, JT. Voting for change's sake, get us opaque, non-transparent committee hearings like this when it comes to our budget.
Officials have leaked to the media that the deficit will be $60 billion or more. So is it going to be that, higher, or lower?
Mr. Perkins, because a Conservative filibuster has blocked the work of our Parliament.
Minister, the only filibuster is your unwillingness to produce the documents.
No,
But I would ask you a simple question. Is the deficit going to be higher or lower than the $60 billion your officials have leaked to the media?
I think that it is very important not to cast any doubt on Canada's financial credibility. So I want to take this opportunity to be very clear that Canada's fiscal position is
Will it be
strong
above or below
and
$60
sustainable
billion?
and continues,
Yes or no? It's a simple question.
to be
Why won't you answer whether or not it'll be above or below
the
60
G7.
billion? Did you?
Our man, Rick Perkins, or as we affectionately like to call him, Ricky Perk, questioning Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland on if her deficit is going to be above or below $60 billion, which in fact she promised that it wouldn't be a cent over $40 billion when she presented the budget. So we're over here wondering if it's going to be lower or below $60 billion. So based on that non-answer, we know it's going to be well above $60 billion. We're going to find out December 16th. But again, change for change's sake has gotten us this. Change for change's sake gets us a 0.5% likely Bank of Canada cut tomorrow, which in some cases can be seen as a good thing. You're going to get a 0.5% off interest rates tomorrow. The issue is no other country in the G7 is admitting cuts to their central banks. Nobody. Only us, which will further that disparity of our economy from the rest of the G7. If this continues up, we will be G7 in name only. Change for change's sake. Yes, Justin Trudeau, we are very interested in change. We are interested in this ending. We are interested in your pseudo-dictatorship ending. We are interested in transparency in our government again. We are interested in holding our government officials accountable. We are interested in our government not being artificially held up. We are interested in our dollar being worth something again on the world stage. We are interested in our money being able to purchase us stuff. We're interested in being able to afford homes. We are interested in being able to afford our way of life. We are interested in enjoying our lives again. That is what we're interested in. And that's what we'll be voting for in the next election. This type of stuff reminds me of what we posted a couple days ago. We have people like Mr. Race Bannon posting that Pierre Poilievre attracts white supremacists. We're going to be seeing a lot more of this type of stuff. And as we wrote here, over the next 10 months, prepare for more of this. False cries of fascist, Nazi, and white supremacy. It's the only play the far left have in order to maintain the last shred of power they have. They know their time is short, so be prepared for them to go out with an overwhelming screech. It will be loud, but it will be empty. The key for Canadians to remember is don't let up. Keep highlighting the disparity of what's going on in the government, how they continue to rip Canadians off, and how at this point, I think Mario, who's a great TikTok creator, put it best. At this point, it is more likely that a member of government will be caught up in a scandal or breaking the law than an AR-15 will be taking a life. That's the stats we're dealing with now. So what's going to happen when people who crave power and they won't let go? What's going to happen when they realize that they're going to lose it? It's going to get wild. And that's something you have to prepare for. More name calling is going to come out. The name calling will become more intense. As we see here, we're in the bargaining stage here. Please don't vote for the other guy. He might revert back to anger at some point, but eventually he'll have to get to acceptance and we'll be able to put this nightmare behind us. We'll continue seeing stuff like this. Opinion columnists in the Toronto Star saying how far-right influencers are weaponizing Canada as a warning to Americans and why it's also changing the way we see ourselves. Using the face of Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, and Dave Rubin as the faces of far-right extremism in the States, apparently. That'll give you an idea of the motives of those who write things like this. More stuff like this is going to come up. The key for you is don't lose focus. Keep your eye on the prize. Don't get frustrated. Don't get angry. keep your foot on the gas pedal, and do not let up until these guys are out of power. And we can try, as Canadians, to get our country back from vast amounts of homelessness, back from poverty, back from violent crime, and back from absolute pain people are in on a daily basis. Thanks for watching. On your way out, watch this video. Psych. I forgot. I got to get context to this one. So those who don't watch the Your Mom's House podcast. So you have Tom Segura and Christina P., who are husband and wife. And they're talking about a scenario where they couldn't find their mailbox key around the house. It was their maid who found the key, put it on the dinner table. The next day, Christina P. comes in. I found the key. And Tom's like, no, our maid found it. He's like, no, I found it. And so Tom went on this whole tirade about how this was stolen valor. And that's where this conversation picks up.
This one's from Derek. My brother is an actual Navy SEAL that served in Mosul, liberating the city from ISIS. He said the only thing worse than the enemy is stolen valor, which Christina P. is certainly guilty of for taking credit for finding the mailbox key. The worst people in the world, according to my Navy SEAL brother, are ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Christina P. Thank you, Derek.
ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and
Christina
me.
P.
Cool.
Right up there with Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Love to see it. Oh my gosh. Well, folks, have yourselves a great day. Always love to see you. I'm out.